Hello, I'm Attila, the developer of VamporiumMAP. VamporiumMAP is an easy and versatile map generator available on the Unity AssetStore. In this video I will explain what is Biomes and how it works. To begin, I've already set up a map with its map info in advance. To learn how to do that, you can check out the other tutorial videos. I also added some effects that are not dependent on biomes, so I have a map tile model, in which I have the prefab of a hexagonal model, and the map material effect, with which I set the material of the generated chunks to a material that supports vertex colors. I also want to mention that I've set the map to combine the tiles so the whole map generation is faster and needs less draw calls. I'll hit generate just for you to see that I'm beginning with a large blank map. Biomes is a scriptable object where all the settings of the biomes will be stored. So let's create one by right-clicking on the location we want to create it in, then choose Create, Vamporium, Map, Biomes and then Biomes again. As you can see, to begin, I will need a couple of values in which I will define the humidity and temperature values. So I'll go ahead and create two new scriptable value formulas. After this, I will quickly set them up. Currently I only need any two different values just to test our progress. But before hitting generate to see the result, there's at least one more step I need to make. Set up the biomes depending on the map's humidity and temperature. For now I will keep it fairly simple, so I create 4 biomes, however one can go as detailed as needed. I'll hit add biome 4 times and then quickly set them up. What is important here is to cover all ranges of humidity and temperature. I prepared this little drawing to visualize it. So I set up 4 biomes like so. At low humidity and temperature, I will have the mountains. At low humidity but high temperature, the desert. At high humidity and low temperature, the snowy biome. And at high humidity and temperature, the fields. This is not how biomes are distributed on our planet, but for a simple demonstration will suffice. If I want to be more precise, I can click this button to show the values instead of the sliders. However, now I'll paste the ranges I copied from another biome before. I will also set the biome density to 0.2 to have larger biomes. I will talk about the other settings a little bit later, when we can have previews of our progress. Now I will set up the map. As I mentioned, I already have the basic effects added, the ones that don't depend on biomes, so I need to add only the ones that do depend. Coloring the tiles with different colors for each biome would be the most visual way to demonstrate this. The map vertex color biome effect is a little different from map vertex color, but I'll set these variables first. I will quickly create a formula's value for the mode and paste the previously copied set of noises. Next I set up the gradient with ridiculous colors. This will be the fallback gradient that will show up where no biome is present. If everything is done right, this should never happen. So if we use vivid colors here, they will alert us. I will continue by adding the biome here, and I will leave the rest of the settings alone for the time being. However, I need to prepare 4 coloring modules, one for each biome. Before I proceed, I can tick the debug mode toggle and hit generate for a very quick view of the biomes distribution. Here on the right of each module you can see the color of each specific biome. But for a better result, let's just set a different gradient for each biome. Finally, I'll uncheck the debug mode and hit generate. The result is far from acceptable, but from here it is very easily fixable. If for example I would like the colors of the desert tiles not to be governed by the tile's elevation, I could simply override the mode for that particular biome. Let's do it now. I'll hit the new button, create a new formula's value, and make a unique setting for it. Generate. As you can see, the desert now looks quite differently. Now let's set up the elevation with a map elevation biomes effect. So I'll add one to the effect list. The elevation effect has some additional settings, but I'll deal with the other fields first. I'll add the value for the elevation, and make it a little bit more prominent with raising the value's power. I'll ignore the minimum steps and the merge fields for now and get right to the additional variables. I will add the biomes I've prepared. It also has a transition mode which I will leave at smooth for now. Furthermore, the effect is waiting for some elevation modules. 4 to be more exact. Each biome range needs one. It was a good idea to name the biome ranges because now they show up in the elevation modules. If I want to have the elevation unmodified in a certain biome, I will leave this checkbox unchecked. Let's say I want it for this biome to be more elevated, so I will enable the module and give it a small offset. In this other biome, I will have the topology be less accentuated by lowering the multiplier. I can also entirely override the elevation of a biome by giving another value to this field. Let's do it for this one. I'll create a new formulas value and set it to a very basic noise. Just before hitting generate, let me quickly adjust these values so the map looks a bit better. As we can see, each biome is set up separately, but this also means that they don't blend nicely. However, I will fix this a little bit later when I show more advanced setups for the biomes. VamporiumMAP also has an effect that can spawn objects on tiles depending on quite a few criteria. Let's look into it now. The effect is called Map Spawn Objects. I'll add the new one to my list of effects. The very first thing I need to set is the biome this effect should use. If your map doesn't use a biome, just leave this field empty. Next, I need to set up my layers. The first layer will be set up with cacti for the desert biome. To tell the effect that this layer is applicable only for the desert biome, all I have to do is set this number to 1. If you don't use a biome for your map, this field won't even show up. I will add the cactus prefabs and set their percentage to a fairly low number. The second one will be a forest for the fields biome. I'll add my 3 prefabs to it and enable the spawner to randomly rotate the spawned objects on their y-axis and force rescale so it can vary their scales as well, between 0.8 and 1.2. Now let's see how this all look. As you can see, the spread of the cacti is okay, but having this much trees is pretty overwhelming. But it can easily be solved with a value mask. So I'll create a new one with the following settings. If we preview it again, you can see that the spreading looks much more natural. So that's it for this part. See you in the next one where I show some more advanced settings for biomes and a way to stack map features on top of each other.